In this tutorial, I wanted to show you how to design a flow to capture multiple selections from a Microsoft form, how to format and split form outputs to build an array using a compose action, and how to initialize an array variable and append values to this variable. Now, let's get started. Here we have a form for staff recognition. We would like to capture information about the employee and ask him for detail around what value they have provided to the company. The last question is a multi-select choice field, and we are interested in how to extract the selected values. Let's go ahead and submit a new form so we can see what happens to the information that is gathered. So the employee's name is Alex Wilbur. We can paste in his email address and his job title and department. Now we need to make sure we select multiple options to see the flow in action properly. I'm going to select Creativity, Initiative and Team Support and Submit. We can now check the associated SharePoint list and see the outcome. Here we can see a new entry has been added, and the Value Added column has all the options we selected in the form: Creativity, Initiative, and Team Support. Let's now create our own flow to replicate this functionality. Go to your internet browser and navigate to flow.microsoft.com. On the left-hand menu, select Create. Search the available templates for Record Responses and select the template called Record Form Responses in SharePoint. If you have no connections, follow the suggested steps to create and select Continue when you are ready. In the When a new response is submitted action, select your form from the drop-down menu. In the Get Response Details action, also select your form. Then, in the Create Item action, select your site address from the drop-down menu and then select the SharePoint list you have created. Under When a new response is submitted, add an action by selecting the plus symbol and add an action. Now search for variable and select Initialize variable. For the name, type Value Added. For the type, select Array from the drop-down menu and leave Value blank. Let's save our flow before proceeding with the next steps. Okay, now select the back arrow once the save is complete to go to your flow details screen. Go to your form and submit a new test entry to initiate a flow run. Fill in all the fields in your form and make sure to select multiple answers for the multi-select field and then submit to trigger your flow. I selected Initiative and Team Support. Now go back to your flow details screen. Select the flow that has just run under History. You may need to refresh your screen to see the most recent flow run. Click on the Apply to Each to expand the section and then select Get Response Details action. Scroll down to locate the multi-select choice field and copy the ID of the multiple choice field to your notepad because you will need this ID shortly. In my case, it's the ID ending with F62. Now that that's copied, click on Edit in the top right of your flow screen. In the Apply to Each action, under the Get Response Details action, add a new action. Search for Compose and select the Compose data operation. Rename this action to Format Form Output and press Enter. Within Inputs, select Expression and insert the following. You can copy this from the accompanying blog. But don't forget to replace the field ID value with the ID you copied to your notepad. So, replace the text highlighted in bold with your field ID. Click OK to save it. In the Apply to Each action, under the Format Form Output action, add a new action. Search again for Compose and select the Compose data operation. Rename this action to Split Previous Output into Array and press Enter. In Inputs, select Expression and paste the following, which you can copy over from the blog. Don't forget to select OK to save your expression. In the Apply to Each action, under the Split Previous Output into Array action, add a new action. Search for Apply to Each and select the Apply to Each control. Within the Apply to Each to, in the Select an Output from Previous Steps field, select Outputs from the Split Previous Output into Array action. Now within the Apply to Each to, add an action. Search for Append to Array and select the Append to Array variable action. For the name, select Value Added from the drop-down menu. For the value, paste the following. Again, you can copy this over from the blog. Current item is an input from dynamic content, so select the current item dynamic value from the Apply to Each to action and ensure the double quotes are around the dynamic content value. In the Create Item action, add dynamic content to the fields you wish to populate in your SharePoint list. In the Value Added field, select the icon to switch to Input Entire Array and then select the Value Added variable from dynamic content. Make sure you save your flow before closing it and retesting it by submitting a new form. Now that your flow is finalized, you may wish to send an email notification to the team, who then handles the results of the submitted forms. We can edit the same flow and add this functionality. Expand the Apply to Each action and scroll to the bottom so you can select Add an action. Search for Send an Email and select the Send an Email v2 action. Add a value into the To and Subject fields. In this example, we will populate the body of the email with dynamic content captured from the form that was submitted. Here you can see we're pulling dynamic content into the body of the email to populate the name, job title, and department. The final step is to retest your flow and see if it was successfully run. You can either do this by selecting Test in the top right of your flow screen or submit a new form.